When I was young, I was sickly, and they sent me out to sea with the cod fishermen. It was there I learned of its power. I learned about a spirit, the spirit of freedom. May 23rd, 1861. 1 month into the war between North and South, a war that will define America. 3 young black men row across the James River in Virginia to seek asylum at the Union-held citadel of Fort Monroe. Its commander is Major General Benjamin Butler. A lawyer by trade, he has grown up poor, the swamp Yankee son of a widow who kept a boarding house in Lowell. His sights are focused not only on beating the Confederacy, but his life's focus will be the equal rights of all people, blacks and women included. Non-interference with slavery is the very cornerstone of the Union's war policy. President Abraham Lincoln has begun his inaugural address by making this clear, pointedly and repeatedly. I have no purpose, directly or indirectly, to interfere with the institution of slavery in the states where it exists, the President says. I believe I have no lawful right to do so, and I have no inclination to do so. If Butler is to enhance the course of righteousness, he must be clever. He has to find a legal way to protect these new allies, for these black men are strategically important to the Union, providing excellent intelligence on the enemy. They are hard workers and they are loyal. But the clock is ticking. A rebel officer under the flag of truce has declared himself at Fort Monroe. He wants his slaves back. Return to us that which is ours. Knowing the horror of what could await them, Butler must find an alternative. There is, among humans, a universal desire to be free. It will take a civil war to change minds. In 1864, at the Battle of New Market Heights along the front lines of Petersburg, Butler follows the charging column of infantry. Butler wrote about the epiphany he experienced. And there, in a space not wider than the clerk's desk and 300 yards long, lay the dead bodies of 543 of my colored comrades, fallen in defense of their country, who had offered up their lives on defense of its flag and its honor as a willing sacrifice. And as I rode along among them, guiding my horse this way and that way, lest he should profane with his hoof what seemed to me the sacred dead, and as I looked on their bronzed faces upturned in the shining sun to heaven, as if in mute appeal against the wrongs of the country for which they had given their lives, and whose flag had only been to them a flag of stripes, on which no star of glory has ever shone for them, feeling that I had wronged them in the past, and believing that what was the future of my country to them, among my dead comrades, there I swore to myself a solemn oath. May my right hand forget its cunning, and my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth, if I ever fail to defend the rights of these men, who have given their blood for me and my country, this day and for their race forever. And God helping me, I will keep that oath. Butler knows that within laws lies the power to ensure the rights of all. He argues that these slaves are contraband of war, and therefore if Virginia considered itself a foreign power to the U.S., then he was under no obligation to return the 3 men. The Union has a right to seize them as property of war. Later, he will argue to Lincoln himself that in a legal sense they are not things, but people. Have they not by their masters' acts and the state of war assumed the condition, which we hold to be the normal one, of those made in God's image? I confess that my own mind is compelled by this reasoning to look upon them as men and women. Shall we now end the war and not eradicate the cause? Will not God demand this of us now that he has taken away all excuse for not pursuing the right? Butler's support for black civil rights and harsh treatment of rebel sympathizers will make him a pariah throughout most of the South, where he will win the nickname Beast Butler. Caricatures of him abound. But more and more people throughout America will begin sharing Butler's views. It is a revolution of awareness, the growing consciousness of justice and rights, that these slaves are human beings, that all humans deserve the rights and the dignity set before us by the miracle of our births. I have watched them with deep interest as they filed off to their work, or labored steadily throughout the long, hot day, a northern visitor to the fort writes. Somehow there was to my eye a weird, solemn aspect to them, as they walked slowly along, as if they, the victims, had become the judges in this awful contest, or as if they were, spinning, unknown to all, the destinies of the great republic. Lincoln's master spy, Alan Pinkerton, travels undercover through the Confederacy. He writes, "My best source of information is the colored men. I mingle freely with them and find them ever ready to answer questions and to furnish me with every fact which I desire to possess." Within weeks after the first contraband's arrival at Fort Monroe, slaves are reported flocking to the Union lines just about anywhere there are Union lines. In northern Virginia, on the Mississippi, in Florida, they come, whole families, the young, the old, women and children too. They come with heads held high, ready to contribute to the cause of the Union. They serve as support and later as regiments to earn their freedom, to fight for freedom, to know freedom as the rights of all humans. Lincoln finally unveils the Emancipation Proclamation in the fall of 1862. He frames it in Buskler-esque terms, not as a humanitarian gesture, but as a stratagem of war. Out of this incident seems to have grown one of the most sudden and important revolutions in popular thought which took place during the whole war. General Butler will leave the war continuing what he has set in motion, becoming a representative in Congress, a supporter of the Equal Rights Party, which will serve the first woman, Victoria Woodhull, for president in 1872, with the first black man, Frederick Douglass, as her running mate. And for a time, General Butler will own the most famous racing boat known to man, the America. Butler believed that no challenge was too great for America. He also believed that that which was used to enslave could be used to free men and women, be it a boat or the laws of the land. The history of the schooner is intricately involved with the history of slavery. After the U.S. ban on the import of slaves in 1809, the schooner became the slave runner's vehicle of choice. American shipbuilders in the late 18th and early 19th century poured vast amounts of their technical expertise into improving the ships, which became the fastest and most nimble vessels to cross the ocean. In 1851, a radical-looking schooner ghosted out of the afternoon mist and swiftly sailed past the Royal Yacht stationed in the Solent, between the Isle of Wight and the south coast of England, on an afternoon when Queen Victoria was watching a sailing race. As the schooner, named America, passed the Royal Yacht in first position and saluted by dipping its ensign 3 times, Queen Victoria asked one of her attendants to tell her who was in second place. "Your Majesty, there is no second," came the reply. That phrase, just 4 words, is still the best description of the America's Cup, and how it represents the singular pursuit of excellence. That day in August 1851, the yacht America, representing the Young New York Yacht Club, would go on to beat the best the British could offer and win the Royal Yacht Squadron's 100 Guinea Cup. This was more than a simple boat race, however, as it symbolized a great victory for the New World over the Old, a triumph that unseated Great Britain as the world's undisputed maritime power. The trophy would go to the young democracy of the United States, and it would be well over 100 years before it was taken away from New York. Shortly after America won the 100 Guinea Cup in 1851, New York Yacht Club Commodore John Cox Stevens and the rest of his ownership syndicate sold the celebrated schooner and returned home to New York as heroes. They donated the trophy to the New York Yacht Club under a deed of gift, which stated that the trophy was to be a perpetual challenge cup for friendly competition between nations. Thus was born the America's Cup, named after the winning schooner America, not after the country. The America's Cup is without a doubt the most difficult trophy in sport to win. In the more than 150 years since that first race off England, only 4 nations have won what is often called the oldest trophy in international sport. For some perspective, consider that there had been 9 contests for the America's Cup before the first modern Olympic Games were held in Athens in 1896. Having gotten her start winning the 100 Guinea Cup, Yacht America found herself 10 years later under the stewardship of the Confederate government, where she is sunk in a river to prevent Union troops from capturing her. Instead, they raise and repair the America, sailing her to enforce the blockade, and then north to the U.S. Naval Academy, which had been relocated to Newport, Rhode Island due to the encroachment of the rebels on Annapolis. In moments are the choices that define us, individually and collectively as a nation. To be free means we cannot stand idly by when injustice is served. Our heroes are the men and women who stand up and reach out, those who serve themselves by serving others, those who know that freedom cannot be found when tyranny enslaves our brothers and sisters. The war for freedom rages still. It is at the heart of the elements, of how we define ourselves. It is the heart of America and the dream that we continue fighting for, as a republic, pursuing liberty and justice, fairness for all. It is the breeze that drives our races. It is the soul that spurs Yacht America.